time to jump into the concept of the Four Agreements. If you have never read the book or heard of the Four Agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz, I absolutely recommend it. It is a really interesting framework that is, in my opinion, one of the best things you can adopt in order to not only live your best life, but to also sort of implement into your relationship as a way to keep things from getting way off track. So the Four Agreements are pretty simple in terms of like how they're laid out, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily easy to apply to your life. So I'm going to go through them in this video, give you a little bit of an overview of what the Four Agreements are, and then every week for the next few, I'm going to go through each one individually to give you even more information about how to implement each one. Okay, so the Four Agreements say, be impeccable with your word. Are you saying what you mean? Are you meaning what you say? Are you using your words as a way to build up in a direction of truth, love, and light? Or are you using your words to tear someone down or even to tear yourself down? So that's important to keep in mind. And you're going to notice they build on each other. Okay, so the second one is don't take things personally, or don't take anything personally. Easier said than done, I understand, but it's this idea that if we're continually taking everything personally that someone does, says, or their actions, or whatever it may be, we're sort of emotionally on the hook for that thing, whatever it is that's sort of affecting us. And then when we take it personally, it really starts to make us feel bad about ourselves, or leads into the third agreement, which is don't make assumptions. So it's actually pretty common that we might have something happen, we take it personally, and then we make an assumption about what it means, about who we are, about our relationship, about something in our lives. And so this is how they sort of build on each other. Maybe you can imagine in your relationship, maybe your partner says something that's not impeccable. They say something that's very negative. You then take it personally and then also make an assumption about what it means. You assume their intentions, you assume what they, wanted you to feel, you assume something negative, which leads into sort of this toxic pattern of never feeling like you're actually on the same page with your partner because you're constantly in this loop of taking things personally and then making assumptions about those things. The fourth agreement is sort of an interesting one. It is stated as always do your best. And there's sort of some caveats to how this shows up. First of all, your level of best is going to shift and change from day to day based on a number of circumstances, some that may and some that may not be in your control. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you're evaluating someone else's actions or behaviors by your own level of best, you're probably holding them to a standard that may not be accurate. It may not be helpful to hold them to that standard. So not only are you going to hold yourself to the standard that I'm going to do my best, but every day that might shift a little bit in terms of what's going on in my life, I'm also going to give other people the benefit of the doubt that they are also showing up at their best, even if it's not my own level of best, and even if it's not something that I personally agree with or would want to do in my own life. In some ways, that's the trickiest one. It's easier to give ourselves credit for doing our best than it is for giving someone else the benefit of that doubt. I do not want to act like these agreements are just, snap your fingers and it all falls into place and it's magic, because it's not like that. But it is something that if you start using it as a framework to ground yourself and to reset, anytime you feel like you're going down that path of not using your words impeccably, of taking things personally, of making assumptions, and either not doing your best or holding someone else to your own standard of best, that's a good likelihood that this framework could really help you out. So in the comments below, in the description below, I have included a link for where you can learn more about the Four Agreements and the book and how it all shows up. And I will be coming back over the next few weeks to discuss more detail about each one of these agreements. There's even a fifth agreement that we're going to dig into, but we got to get through the first four first. So I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will be back next week with more.